Now at 9, how an event center in Carthage, Missouri is cleaning up damage after last night's storms. Plus, Missouri lawmakers passed 2 bills restricting transgender rights for minors. And Oklahoma's governor signs a bill into law aimed at combating fentanyl overdoses.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Some home and business owners today are cleaning up from last night's storm damage. Some of the damage was to roofs and trees in Jasper County. KOAM's Amber Jenkins visited one ranch dealing with the aftermath.
The Civil War Ranch in Carthage was damaged by severe weather. Their roof was one of many that was damaged in Jasper County.
North side of the arena, so it's just the arena part where we have concessions and all that. It didn't do anything.
No, but the debris, it just took the whole roof off and it threw it on behind the arena.
Dealing with severe weather and strong winds isn't new to the ranch. They replaced the roof after a bad hailstorm a couple years ago. Now they're looking at replacing it again.
I mean, you know, there's only so much you can do.
Well, I didn't know that there was tornado watch. My grandson and I were out running in the sprinklers when the wind started to come up, and then it started the thundering, and I told Isaac, hey, we better go in.
The owners believe that it was a microburst because the damage was isolated to the north side.
And threw it off, and the rest of the whole arena is fine. So it wasn't maybe a tornado, maybe a
microburst or something.
Microburst that just...
Owners of the Civil War Ranch are grateful that the damage didn't affect the stables or the horses, or even the worker that was inside the arena when they felt the ground shake.
And we have a guy that works for us, and he was inside the arena. He was in the concession area, and that's what he said, that the ground just shook and it just boom.
Due to the damage from the storm, competition events that take place in the arena usually might have to be postponed or canceled. But events like weddings that take place on the ranch but not in the arena aren't affected.
And that next week we have 3 weddings. So I've already talked to those people. Are we still on? Yes, we're still on. We're still open. There's nothing wrong with the barns. We're just going to get up and going as soon as we can.
Reporting in Carthage, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The Civil War Ranch is waiting on the insurance audit for a quote on the cost of repairs. Storm damage affected other parts of southwest Missouri as well. In this video, a tree on North Pearl in Joplin fell and blocked the road. A part of the tree fell on a car. Officials say it'll be a couple of days until the tree is clear. And repairs are underway for Peggy's Restaurant in Jasper, Missouri. The restaurant saw extensive roof damage last night. Today is the 15th anniversary of one of the deadliest tornadoes in the history of the 4 states. On May 10, 2008, a twister first struck in Pitcher, Oklahoma, killing 6 people and destroying more than 160 homes. As it moved into Missouri, it merged with another tornado at Highway 43 and Irish Road south of Joplin. It killed 16 more people there, including multiple members of 2 families and a volunteer from the Seneca Fire Protection District who was trying to warn people. Some of the victims were in their homes. Others were killed in their vehicles on the highway. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with the first look at the weather.
All right, thank you very much, Jalen. Yeah, no tornadoes to deal with tonight, except if you're in Denver, Colorado. Now, that's going to be different tomorrow, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But right now, we just have some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area. Let's zoom in on some of the heaviest activity in southern Montgomery County near Coffeyville or just west of there, extending down towards Copan. This is all moving from east to west, so folks in Caney will start to see some of the rain as well as Sedan in the next hour or so. And we're going to see the showers increase as we go into the overnight hours with temperatures dropping through the 60s to around 64 degrees by morning. And looking down the lane, we have those scattered showers tonight and then severe storms developing into the western sections tomorrow. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but also some weekend storms scattered around and a slight cool down as well. I'll have all the details coming up.
Missouri lawmakers approved significant restrictions on transgender people today. Lawmakers approved bills to ban gender-affirming health care for minors and prevent transgender girls and women from playing on female sports teams. Both measures would expire in 2027. They now head to Governor Mike Parson's desk, and he is expected to sign both bills. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signed a bill that would help prevent fentanyl overdoses into law. The new law will legally allow Oklahomans to carry fentanyl test strips without them being considered drug paraphernalia, according to the Oklahoma Department of Health. From 2019 to 2020, the number of fentanyl overdoses increased by 170% in Oklahoma. The bill will go into effect in November. Some Frontenac, Kansas police officers visited Frontenac High School to raise awareness on the dangers of fentanyl. It's a part of Fentanyl Awareness Day, which took place yesterday, but police officers paid visits yesterday and today. Fentanyl is a highly addictive synthetic opioid that continues to drive the overdose epidemic. Freeman Health System is taking this week to celebrate its nurses. There are several events planned throughout the week, often involving food. It started yesterday with a pancake feed. Today's events kicked off with a barbecue. Officials say this week is a great chance to show appreciation for all the hard work nurses put in.
Special nurses and everybody at the hospital works really hard all year long, and so this is a time that we get to really lean in and celebrate them, work hard to serve them, and have things that they look forward to. So it's a really important week for us to circle around our profession, the reasons why it's important to us, the reasons why we became nurses, why nurses are important in our community and to the people that we serve.
On Friday, they will host a birthday bash celebrating Florence Nightingale, who is considered the founder of modern nursing. New York Congressman George Santos, infamous for making up parts of his life story, has been indicted on criminal charges. Fox's Anna Iliopoulos has the story.
The web of lies around New York Congressman George Santos unravels. The Republican arrested Wednesday and taken to a federal courthouse on Long Island to face a 13-count indictment. Federal charges include fraud, money laundering, theft of public funds, and making false statements to Congress.
I'm going to fight the witch hunt. I'm going to take care of clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that.
Among the allegations against him, prosecutors accuse Santos of duping donors and stealing from his campaign funds. Money he reportedly used for personal expenses, like buying designer clothing and to pay his credit card bills. He's also accused of illegally applying for unemployment benefits.
I don't understand where the government's getting their information, but I will present my facts.
And again, you will not resign.
I will not resign.
For months, Santos has defied calls to step down after it was revealed he lied about his religion, his education, and his finances before being elected last fall.
In America, there's a presumption of innocence, but they're serious charges. He's going to have to go through the legal process.
However, at this stage, he is unlikely to get booted from Congress since he's only been indicted and not convicted. Santos has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him and was released on a $500,000 bond. In New York, Anna Iliopoulos, Fox News.
Coming up, why health experts are recommending women should get mammograms earlier in life. A leading group of health specialists is rolling back the clock, recommending women should start getting mammograms earlier in life to monitor for breast cancer. Fox News' Ted Linder has the latest.
An independent panel of medical experts is issuing new cancer screening recommendations for women. In a draft statement, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force is encouraging women to start getting mammograms every other year starting at age 40 instead of waiting until 50.
And this is really important because nearly 13% of women across the globe are diagnosed with breast cancer at some point in their lives.
The new recommendation is for women at average risk of being diagnosed with the disease, with members of the task force saying early detection is key to preventing deaths, especially for black women who are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women.
Do not wait. Many of us will push things off and say, I'll give it another month, I'll keep my eye on it. It is very important that you act quickly because time can save your life.
Besides skin cancers, the American Cancer Society says breast cancer is the most common type of cancer in women in the U.S., making up roughly 30% of all new cancer cases in women each year.
Be cognizant of any change that you might see, whether it is pain at the site of your breast, if there's a lump, if there's dimpling.
Since 1989, the American Cancer Society says the rate of breast cancer deaths has been declining, falling by 43% through 2020. Still, professionals estimate more than 43,000 women will die from the disease this year alone. The Preventive Services Task Force will keep its recommendation open for public comment through June 5th before finalizing its decision. Ted Linder, Fox News.
A birth control pill is a big step closer to being sold over the counter. Advisors to the FDA voted today in support of allowing people to buy the drug named O-pill without prescription. The panelists unanimously agreed that people would be able to use O-pill safely and effectively without help from a healthcare worker. The FDA does not have to follow the advisor's recommendation, but it often does. They are expected to make a decision this summer. Researchers in Australia and at Boston University are developing a tool they say shows promise detecting Parkinson's disease years before the first symptoms appear. Using AI technology to study blood, they have identified unique chemical markers that could potentially predict a patient will develop Parkinson's. Sam is back with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Missouri Southern Baseball is preparing for its MIAA tournament matchup against Northeastern State. We'll hear from the team in sports.
Well, folks, we had quite a bit of severe weather last night. Today, not so much, just some scattered showers and storms across the area, and that's continuing this evening. You can look outside at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort in Seneca, Missouri. Mostly cloudy skies. They had some thunder showers in that area earlier. Now the storms have moved off a little bit further towards the west, and we'll show you that in radar in just a moment. But right now, the allergies are starting to improve. 8.6 today, tomorrow 6.4. Large part of that is because rain is expected to wash some of that out of the atmosphere. This afternoon, we made it up to 83 degrees today after starting out at 60, which was above the normals of 75 and 54. And we have only had 0.03 of an inch of rain since midnight, and that's not really going to help with the rain deficit now at 4.8 inches below normal for the year. Hopefully we're going to catch up on that over the next few days with some rainfall. You can see storms right now stretching from near Rich Hill in Nevada down through just west of Pittsburgh all the way down into the Coffeyville area, down into Bartlesville. Zoom in on some of the strongest storms. You can see that's near Independence or just south of there, also just to the north and east of Parsons, and also around Fort Scott right now. And we're going to see those showers increase overnight, and then we're going to be watching for a big storm system to pull out into the plains tomorrow. And folks, this could be a significant severe weather event, especially for folks in central Oklahoma up into the Wichita area, and even our western counties could be impacted as well. Here's the storm system right now. It's moving to the east, and when it ejects out into the plains, it's going to be a negative tilt. It's going to go right across the dry line. So all the ingredients are coming together for a significant risk of large tornadoes tomorrow. Again, mainly down in central Oklahoma, but could end up also affecting our western counties. So if you live in Greenwood, Chautauqua, and Elk counties, please be advised of what's going on with the weather tomorrow. Temperatures right now are in the 60s and 70s, especially out towards the west where it's a little bit warmer because the rain has not quite yet arrived. Right now in Joplin, it's 71 degrees. It feels like 71, dew point is 60. Southeast wind at 13, gusting at 22 miles per hour. Here's the severe risk again tomorrow, stretching from northwestern Kansas right through basically along I-35 down in the Oklahoma City area. So anywhere along this boundary, we could see significant severe weather, including the possibility of tornadoes, and that does include mainly the western sections of our viewing area. So if you live in this yellow area, please be aware of what's going on tomorrow and be sure to download our app and stay tuned, and we'll keep you advised. Then on Friday, all the severe weather shifts toward the north up into eastern Nebraska and Iowa, leaving us with just some marginal thunderstorms. Rain tonight, a pretty good bet across a large part of the area. Then chances decrease through the day tomorrow and then pick up once again late tomorrow night into early in the morning hours on Friday. Rainfall amounts are expected to be around 1/3 to 1/2 an inch. Some areas could pick up a little bit more in some isolated heavy pockets of storms across the area, but a good soaking rain again tonight would be very welcome, especially in southeastern Kansas. Lows tonight in the 60s, and here comes the rain coming in from the east and rotating back to the west. Then it all basically moves to the north by morning, and then the afternoon, partly cloudy skies with highs in the mid-70s. Then storms firing up out towards the west and then rolling to the east as we go through the evening hours with lows in the 60s by Friday morning and the storms moving away. And then Friday afternoon, partly cloudy with highs in the mid to lower 80s across the area. And then on Saturday, a wind shift line blows through and we see temperatures in the 60s as we start the weekend. How about the next 7 days? Well, tomorrow we're going to be paying attention, possible alert day. And then as we go into Friday, a little bit drier, and then more storms on Saturday and Sunday scattered around the area. And then we start to go into a drier period next week, and then more storms next weekend.
All right, sounds good.
Right.
Thank you, Sam. A Stillwater, Oklahoma animal park is now under federal inspection after a child was injured by a lemur over the weekend. Kylie Thomas was at Lost Creek Safari, and she shares what the park says happened and also what goes on next.
A weekend trip to Lost Creek Safari in Stillwater has sparked a federal inspection after a child got too close to one of the animals. Feeding lemurs at the park is a fan favorite, but the animal park says one child took things too far with one of their 1-year-old lemurs Sunday.
As we were walking over to the rams, the kid ran back and, grabbed the lemur behind the back. And the lemur just said, "Hey, get off me," like anyone else would.
The park said it was just a superficial scratch, but according to a report by the Payne County Sheriff's Office, the mother reported the lemur bit her child's arm after he grabbed the monkey, wanting to take a picture.
I'd say Sunday has been, up around, it could be upwards of 20,000 people he's been in front of. And we have one incident, and that could ruin it for everybody, which is a shame.
Lost Creek Safari says their lemur exhibit is by far the most popular, but after this week's incident, the USDA could now permanently close the attraction. The sheriff's office said at this time they have, quote, no reason to believe there was wrongdoing on the part of the safari staff. Their findings have been forwarded on to the State Department of Health. As the park waits for the USDA to inspect the exhibit, the lemur will be kept in a separate cage moving forward.
Any false or true claim, by law, everyone has to respond, and that's a good thing. Kid got out of control, and unfortunately an incident happened, which led to where we are now.
Coming up, racing against the clock.
The president is taking his pitch to raise the nation's borrowing limit from the negotiating table to the public. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more on the debate over the debt ceiling coming up.
Just a day after a White House meeting between top congressional leaders and the president, there's still no deal to avoid a potential default early next month. Now, President Biden is turning up the heat on Republicans to pass a clean debt ceiling bill. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
At a New York college, President Biden went after Republicans for not yet raising the nation's borrowing limit ahead of a default deadline as early as June 1st.
They're literally, not figuratively, holding the economy hostage unless we give in to their threats and demands as to what they think we should be doing.
Tuesday, top congressional Republicans and Democrats met in the Oval Office to see if there was a way forward to raise the debt ceiling.
If we default on our debt, the whole world is in trouble.
But they came away with no movement toward a deal and only an agreement to meet again. Members of their teams continued to meet Wednesday. House Republicans have already passed a bill that would raise the debt limit, but it would also come with deep spending cuts, which Democrats say will hurt veteran benefits. Republicans deny that and say this will get hammered out eventually.
This can be done, and it must be done. America is not going to default.
Republicans argue the government has a runaway spending problem, which is making the economy worse. New inflation numbers show it's slowly improving. April's inflation number now at 4.9%, though still way above the target 2%.
We presented a reasonable cutting of government. They are not budging on it, neither are we. We'll see what happens.
The congressional leaders and the president have agreed to meet again on Friday at the White House. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
New government data shows inflation is still rising, though not as fast as before. At the grocery store, some prices are even down. Ground beef is down 2.1% compared to last year, and bacon has fallen almost 9%. Overall, inflation at 4.9%, a drop from previous months. Gas prices shot up in April, but are now falling and are down 7 cents a gallon in the past month. Social Security payments don't go as far as they used to. In fact, buying power has dropped more than a third since 2000. That's according to the Senior Citizens League. To put that in perspective, seniors would need $517 more a month for their benefits to go as far as they did 23 years ago. A Social Security provides annual costs for living increases, but it has not kept up with inflation. Up next, we'll learn this little bunny who went on living on the streets to helping police fight crime. A little bunny in California went from being a stray in the streets to working with the police. The bunny, named Percy, was found last year in the middle of the road by a patrol officer who responded to a call for a stray rabbit. The officer later took the animal to animal control, expecting for his owner to claim him. But when no one did, the bunny was quickly adopted by the Yuba City Police Department service analyst. Percy is now the wellness animal for the department. Officials say he is really social and that having Percy has helped them deal with stress daily. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. While the mayor of Sarcoxie, Missouri is suspending the town's police chief for 2 weeks. Plus, Joplin High School hands out hundreds of scholarships to graduates at a senior night. The City of Sarcoxie City Council held a meeting tonight to review Chief of Police Brandy KOAM's appeal about a suspension she was given by the mayor, Don Triplett, last week. Triplett says KOAM was asked to resign before the suspension, but he won't discuss specifically why. In the meeting, he talked about behavior factors and disobedience. The council decided KOAM will complete her 2-week-long suspension and come back on May 19th to then discuss the possibility of her continuing. Triplett says KOAM will be meeting the council on May 19th to discuss an improvement plan for her. Some local women leaders shared their stories of success in Carthage, Missouri today. It included information on marketing and networking. Our very own Vice President and General Manager of KOAM, Brooke Arnold, gave the keynote address. The event is a collaborative effort for women in power to enhance business and startup to existing.
To be able to sit around and have a discussion with a round table to learn from each other, that's how we do better in our business, do better in our work environment, when we network together, when we work together.
The event was held in Memorial Hall Auditorium. Joplin High School tonight awarded scholarships to more than 100 graduating seniors. It's part of the school's Senior Honors Night. 130 scholarships were handed out by Joplin Schools, the Joplin Schools Foundation, athletic and activity booster clubs, local family endowments, and community donors. Officials say it's a great way to recognize all the hard work these students have put in as they go on to their next steps. More than 90 students were also recognized for receiving scholarships from the state of Missouri's A+ program. With this hot summer-like weather, you and your kids may be looking for a way to cool off. Pittsburgh's Aquatic Center at Schlinger Park today opened their splash pad. On top of the splash pad, you can get swim passes at the center for $40 each. The Biden administration is warning of stiff penalties for migrants illegally crossing into the U.S. when Title 42 expires. Officials expect to see more than 10,000 come into the country each day. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports for more.
The lifting of the Title 42 public health order does not mean our border is open.
The Biden administration bracing for a surge of migrant crossings when Title 42 expires. On Thursday, officials will begin generally denying asylum to people showing up at the Mexico border without first applying online or seeking protection in the country they pass through. Secretary Alejandra Mayorkas says DHS is also conducting dozens of removal flights per week.
Do not listen to the lies of the smugglers. This is what will happen to you.
Migrants have already been surging toward the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol sources telling Fox News they apprehended more than 10,000 migrants on Monday and again on Tuesday, a record total.
Border Patrol agents are stretched. They've been stretched for 27 months.
The situation is impacting places far from the southern border. Nearly 24 asylum seekers arrived in Philadelphia on a bus Wednesday morning. While in New York City, officials are reportedly considering shutting down streets to house migrants. And in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis is preparing to once again send migrants to Democratic-led cities.
These border towns, they get overwhelmed with the number of people, but then when they settle them in the interior of our country, you have all kinds of burdens placed on taxpayers, on medical, on education.
Many migrants had set up camp here in El Paso, but sanitation workers removed the makeshift tents Wednesday morning. Still more migrants expected here on Thursday night as Title 42 expires. In El Paso, Texas, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bit later, as AI grows in popularity, we'll hear from experts on how it's changing the way we speak.
Well, we had quite a round of severe weather last night, but not today. We had some scattered showers and storms across the area, and we still do. And they're going to be increasing as we head into the overnight hours. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, things are looking pretty nice. The storms have moved through, but there's going to be more showers, as I said, as we go into the overnight and morning hours. This afternoon, we made it up to 83 after starting out at 60. Of course, that was above the normals of 75 and 54. And we're behind on the rainfall, but hopefully we're going to catch up on that in the next few days with the scattered showers and storms. Right now on radar, there is a band of showers extending from just west and northwest of Nevada all the way down to Chanute, Independence, down into northern parts of Osage County in Oklahoma. But notice off to the south and east, we have more rain starting to move in from the east and southeast across our area. So don't be surprised if you hear a rumble or two or thunder in the nighttime hours. You can see on closer in view, scattered showers north of Fort Scott, now over towards Bronson and Sauvenberg, moving over towards Iola. Also another storm near Erie, that's moving over towards Fredonia, and then also near Independence towards Sedan, moving towards the west. So those showers are going to continue for the next 4 or so hours. All right, let's take a look at the satellite view because we have a big storm system to talk about. And this storm tomorrow is likely going to produce lots of tornado activity in Oklahoma and Kansas. Big storm system pulling out into the plains, negative tilt. All the ingredients are coming together. You can see moisture coming up from the south ahead of the dry line. And so tomorrow afternoon and evening, we're going to have to be very, very paying close attention to the weather, especially for our western counties. Temperatures right now where it's rained are in the 60s, but out toward the west where it's still yet to rain, temperatures are in the 70s right now with 78 in Neodesha. Right now in Joplin, it's 71 degrees, southeast wind at 13. Dew point is up there at 60, so we have a humidity of 68%. Now, here's the severe weather risk for tomorrow. Stretching from northwestern Kansas right through the Wichita area and down I-35 into Oklahoma City. This is where the highest probability of tornadoes are going to be, is along that I-35 corridor in our area. So we're going to have to watch it very closely. And folks in Greenwood, Chautauqua, and Elk counties especially need to be concerned, and also Woodson, Wilson, and Montgomery counties as well. So tomorrow evening and afternoon, just be weather aware, especially in our western areas. Storms on Friday are going to be up to the north in Iowa and eastern Nebraska. That's where the severe weather is going to be there. Tonight, the rain chances are going to be increasing and then decreasing as we go through the morning and early afternoon. And then they jump back up again as we head into the overnight hours tomorrow night with those storms developing off towards our west. Rainfall amounts are going to be generally around a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, and maybe an isolated inch or so in some isolated spots with those scattered showers and storms. Temperatures tonight are going to drop down into the 60s with rain spreading in from east to west. And then as we go through the morning, that will start to move away and temperatures will be jumping up into the upper 70s. And then we're going to be watching the storms developing off towards the west tomorrow afternoon and evening, and they'll be racing across our area as possibly severe thunderstorms. So keep an eye on that. And then they'll start to move away from us as we go into the overnight hours with temperatures in the 60s by Friday morning, with those scattered storms starting to move away to the south and east. Then on Friday afternoon, partly cloudy skies with highs in the low to mid 80s. And then a boundary will try to make its way through here and will make it through by Saturday with temperatures in the 60s, more or less a wind shift line. Here's a look at the forecast. Tomorrow, 30% chance of thunderstorms. Some of those are likely going to be severe, especially to the west. We'll have to keep an eye on it for the entire area though. Then on Friday, 82, and then more storms on Saturday and Sunday and Monday, and then drying out as we head into the middle and latter part of next week. Jalen?
Lots of stuff going on. Hopefully we could get that rain to hit the drop.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Sam. Coming up in sports, Jasper and Liberal softball meet tonight for a district title. Plus, Missouri Southern baseball prepare to face off against Northeastern State in the MIAA tournament. We'll hear from the team after the break.
The Missouri Southern Lions are still alive in the MIAA Conference Tournament. The Lions won their opening series over Newman last weekend to move on to the Final Four in the tournament bracket. And next up for Southern, they face Northeastern State in the semifinals tomorrow afternoon in Warrensburg. Now, these two teams played just a few weeks ago, with the Lions taking 2 out of 3 from the Riverhawks in Joplin. Now here's the team on their playoff run and meeting up once again with Northeastern State.
They got some guys that can really hit some home runs and slug the ball. So Cole's going to need to be really good like he was the first time against them. And, you know, they're definitely playing well right now. and they're a hard team to deal with.
It's what you look forward to. You know, the hot days in August are paying off now because just the atmosphere is different. You know, everybody's got a different mindset. We're kind of kicking into another gear, and it's what you play for these times right now, or what you play for and what you look forward to. It's special.
We're kind of playing all as one now, and I think this team is like glue at this point. I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're all really playing for each other and playing for the guy beside you.
The Crowder College Rough Riders are back in the Region 16 baseball tournament. The Rough Riders are the #1 seed in the 4-team tournament being played this weekend at Joe Becker Stadium. The Crowder aiming for their 4th consecutive Region 16 championship. The Rough Riders went 45-11 in the regular season. They enter the Region 16 tournament ranked 5th in the nation. They've really gotten better as the season has gone along. Crowder is 31-2 in their last 33 games.
You know, the leadership of our returners really stepped up, and some of our newer guys, you know, it was a young team. We went into the year with 500 at-bats, coming back and under 100 innings. So, you know, there was a lot of work to be done with this group, and the sophomores really guided the ship, you know, got the freshmen going in the right direction. And you never make it about the classes, you know, freshman and sophomore come springtime, but this year it was just because of the inexperience. I think it's just the fact that we do the little things right. We're fundamentally proper. You know, we just try to keep things simple. We show up every day and we just go be who we are, and I think that's what separates us.
Girard High School senior Gracie Peterson signs today to continue her track and field career in college. Peterson is headed down the road to Pittsburgh State to compete for the Gorillas next year. Peterson is a multiple-time league and regional champion. She's a state medalist in the long jump, also holds school records in the 100-meter dash and the 4x100-meter relay. But heading to PSU, Peterson's main focus, at least early, will be competing in long jump.
Pitt State would have been the first choice. Even if I had D1 chances and opportunities, I would have went to Pitt State. It's just a great place to be. The atmosphere is great. I've had coaches from Pitt State. That's where I want to be. I did talk to a couple other colleges, and I just kind of realized I wasn't going to be able to go anywhere but close to home, so I'm glad I get to stay close.
Finally, local softball here. Jasper and Liberal meet tonight in the Class 1 District 6 Championship. It is Jasper taking it tonight 7-3. The Eagles are now back-to-back district champions. And I tell people all the time, going back to Missouri Southern baseball playing in the Final Four of the conference tournament, the difference between regular season baseball and postseason baseball is huge. I love playoff baseball. It's so intense, every pitch matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, just the success rate of actually hitting the baseball during the regular season probably decreases during the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
So
see a lot more.
The stakes are just that much higher.
And pitching staffs, when you get down into these conference tournaments, you got to get a little deeper. You got to depend, especially if you go deep in these tournaments, you got to depend on some guys that you didn't depend on in the regular season.
For sure. All right. Sounds good. We're back with more after this. We talk to computers different than how we talk to each other. That's according to research from a pair of professors at the University of California, Davis. Fox's Richard Giacovis went to the streets of New York City to find out what people there have to say.
Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
We've all tried to get her attention, but sometimes Siri just won't respond.
She never seems to understand what I'm saying.
The same goes for Alexa, and it seems like some people are having to change their voice when speaking to artificial intelligence apps like Siri and Alexa. Here's one example.
Hey Siri, please call Rachel Soleimani. Please call Rachel Soleimani.
Despite the no response from Apple's AI, new research finds that more and more people are speaking louder, slower, and even flatter during dictation. The study from UC Davis also shows that there is less pitch variation. Experts believe this can only help the app.
I try to talk slow and dictate my words very clearly so that it can be more accurate.
The study says identifying factors that make a speaker intelligible is valuable for voice technology, not only now, but in the near future.
So yeah, talking louder at it, like, hey Siri, or like repeating myself a couple times.
So we put people on the street to the test.
Hey Siri. Oh, now she listens. But if I say something, hey Siri, what's the weather?
Wow, look at that.
Now she answers.
Don't even use it anymore, and I get made fun of for having a Samsung.
The UC Davis study also found that clear speech, similar to that of a news broadcaster, led to overall better comprehension. So let's give it a try. Hey Siri, who is the greatest newscaster of all time? No luck.
Coming up, we'll meet a Kansas woman who has turned her front yard into a free food pantry to help those in need. It's not always easy for people to get the food that they need. To help, many communities come together to stock tiny pantries that are easily accessible. As Mackenzie Nelson reports, one woman in Overland Park, Kansas is taking the task on by herself.
We're just west of 71st and Metcalf, where you'll find this pantry sitting out front. And the only difference between others and tiny pantry times is that the lights never turn off.
Somebody helping, so can't do it without people like you.
Jennifer Parker's idea of a tiny library has turned into a pantry in her second full-time job.
When we started this, I thought it would last through COVID a couple of months. Of course, we all thought COVID would only last a couple months, and then it would be over.
Not only did the need grow, but so did the support.
Thank you.
You know, I see Jennifer out here often because I live really close, so I come up and down 71st Street, and she works so hard, and I feel like I can also help.
If it weren't for people like Catherine Wooster, Tiny Pantry Times wouldn't be possible.
So at that time, we were putting out about 2,500 pounds a month. We are now currently putting out about 10,000 pounds a month.
Parker says in one day, about 70 people visit her pantry. On average, 2,000 stop by in 1 month.
They come all day, all night, because there's still quite a bit of a stigma about having to use a pantry, and not everybody can actually make it to those finite hours that are offered at different pantries.
This path through her front yard was put in because Parker said she was making so many trips to the pantry to restock that she had worn down her grass.
I don't really even know her, but I see her out here all the time, and I think, God, that woman works so hard. She also works a full-time job, and then she does this. It's just amazing.
As Parker has put her own money into building the pantry and stocking it, she's looking for donations to help keep her stock from running out.
Somebody asked me, well, do you have a profit and loss sheet? I said, no, because there's no profit. It's only loss, loss, loss. But that's okay, as we know that we're helping these people, and we're good with that.
That's awesome. And that's our time for tonight, and thank you all so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave you with a video of a baby orangutan at a Sacramento zoo. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.